Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom. I'm David Mencer, Israeli government spokesman for the Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Office of the Prime Minister. Questions in the chat, please, and we'll be happy to take a few after a very quick update from me. It's Thursday, the 19th of September, day 349 of the October 7th war. First, on Israel's war aims, they are the return of all of our hostages, 101 of them, children, the elderly, women and men, 349 days in Hamas captivity. They need to be brought home now. The dismantling of Hamas's government and military, the removal of the terrorist threat to Israel, and of course the return of our citizens safely to their homes in our own sovereign territory in the north of Israel. To start with today, very sad news of fallen Israeli soldiers. IDF casualties since the start of this war have unfortunately risen to 713. Captain Daniel Maimon Toaf was aged 23 years old and from Moreshet in the Galilee. First Sergeant Amit Bakri was aged 21 and from Yoshivia. First Sergeant Agam Naim was aged just 20 years old and from Mishmarot. She was a paramedic due to leave Gaza in the next couple of days at the end of her service. And First Sergeant Dotan Shimon was aged just 21 and from Elazar. All four fell in battle in southern Gaza. All four were laid to rest yesterday. Now, there are no words of mine that can assuage the pain of their parents and their families. We embrace them and those dear families who have lost their precious heroes, sons and daughters in this war for our very existence. To be clear, the achievements of this defense of our homeland are many, but this war has exacted a heavy toll on us, none more than the families of our soldiers and especially our fallen soldiers. But as the Prime Minister has said, I promise you, with unity, determination, and the faith in the justice of our cause, we will fight, and with God's help, we will win. May their memories be a blessing forever. Next, let me share Israel's view on the Palestinian-led resolution in the United Nations General Assembly just yesterday. First things first, it harms any chance for peace, what we want most of all, the very essence of Israel. It's disconnected from reality and from the situation on the ground. It ignores the past, the historical rights of the State of Israel and the Jewish people in the land of Israel. It's detached from the present, from the reality on the ground, the security needs against the backdrop of this war and the October 7th massacre and the contractual reality between the parties. And finally, it is dangerous for the future and it encourages terrorism and distances the parties from the only possible resolution, which is direct negotiations. Next, an update from COGAT and their work coordinating aid into Gaza. As of the latest COGAT figures, more than 1 million tons of humanitarian aid have been delivered into Gaza on 51,500 trucks since the start of this war. Over 37 tons entered in September alone. 80% of the aid going in has been food. Now, the COGAT unit officers met yesterday with international aid organizations to strengthen coordination. And now the IDF is working to improve accessibility to aid and prevent Hamas involvement. You can get all the details of Israel's humanitarian efforts on COGAT's website. So that's the end of our briefing here today. We'll now take your questions, which you should put in the chat together with your news outlet. Okay, first question here I can see is from Associated Press. Robbie Corey Boulet. Israeli media is reporting. Israeli media is reporting a new proposal that would involve the release of hostages in exchange for safe passage of Sinwar and other Hamas officials and the cessation of fighting. Can you confirm whether Israel has put forward such a proposal? And if so, can you give details? Thank you very much for that question, Robbie. Let me share with you our current thoughts on the hostage deal. Just last night, regarding this hostage release pause, the Prime Minister's office, our office here, said that the Prime Minister has accepted every American proposal for the releasing of our hostages. Often the Prime Minister has faced criticism from parts of our own government coalition, but the Prime Minister completely refutes the claim that he has in any way jeopardized any deal whatsoever due to political considerations. Here are the facts. As we say here in the Prime Minister's office, the facts don't lie. On April the 27th, the Prime Minister accepted the mediator framework for releasing the hostages. Secretary Blinken described it as very generous. On May 31st, the Prime Minister agreed to the US proposal. On June 12th, the Secretary Blinken could not have been clearer when he said that Israel had agreed to the proposal, but Hamas had not. On October 16th, the Prime Minister agreed to the American final bridging proposal. On August 28th, Deputy Director of the CIA said that Israel was showing a seriousness in the negotiations and that the leader of Hamas would have to respond likewise. On September 9th, US Special Envoy to the Middle East, McGurk, said that there was no hostage release deal only because of Hamas's refusal. Again on September 9th, even Benny Gantz, member of Knesset, admitted that Hamas has not accepted the framework for months and the world is expected to back Israel. So these claims that Israel is in any way holding up a deal are false. They simply echo the propaganda of Hamas. They invert reality. Just a reminder that Israel has secured the release of 154 hostages, 117 who are alive today because Israel utilized all means necessary to get those hostages out. So to be clear, to answer your question, whoever wants to assist in the effort to release our hostages needs to pressure the murderer Sinwar and not the Prime Minister of the State of Israel. We cannot be any clearer than that. Okay, next question is from Ulrik from TV2 Norway, with Defence Minister Gallant saying that we're at the start of a new phase of the war and the transfer of more troops to the north of Israel. Is Israel preparing for ground operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon? Thank you for that question from Ulrik from TV2 Norway. Look, the Prime Minister has made extremely clear very, very recently, and also when he's visited the north in the last few days, in the last week or so, that Israel is prepared for both defense and attack. He and all of us here in Israel are attentive to the residents of our north. The Prime Minister speaks with residents of the north and with the heads of their local authorities. The government sees their distress. We hear their anguish. No other country would put up with this sort of reality. The current situation is simply not sustainable. Now, the Prime Minister has said that the change in the balance of forces on our northern border is needed and necessary. So Israel will do whatever is necessary to return our residents securely to their homes. The government is committed to this, and we will not suffice with anything less. We will do this thanks to the heroism of our fighters and the unity amongst us as a united people rising up against the enemies in order to ensure our future. Now, we've had more than 8,000 rockets and drones, often more than 100 a day, 63.5 thousand people displaced from their homes in the north for almost 1 year. Again, no other country would put up with this. 850 fire incidents, close to 200,000 dunams of land burnt, 46 of our people killed by Hezbollah, incessant firing of rockets and UAVs by the Hezbollah terrorist organization, which is aimed at killing our people with no other reason, just to kill our people, trying to impose this terror and disrupting daily life. So Israel is responding with force to this aggression by Hezbollah. We will use all means necessary to restore security to our northern border and to safely return our citizens to their homes. We will respond with force to this unprovoked aggression from Hezbollah. We've had thousands of these rockets since October 23, UAVs from Lebanese territory. Now, the state of Lebanon and the Hezbollah terrorist organization, which operates under the guidance of Iran, it's always Iran behind all of this violence. They are responsible for this escalation in the security situation in our north. It's in violation of international law and United Nations Security Council resolutions 1559 and 1701. The Israeli government has a responsibility to defend its people, and that is precisely what we are mandated to do, and is exactly what we will do and we are doing. Okay, next question here from David Clement from the News Forum in Canada. Can you provide any specifics about the plot by Hezbollah to assassinate former Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon? Thank you for that question, David Clement from the News Forum in Canada. The details of the unveiling of that plot to kill our senior security personnel from our security echelon is on the IDF's website or on the IDF Telegram. So I would advise you to look there for details of the unveiling of that plot, for the foiling of that plot. Next question here I can see is from it's from Sebastian Ramspeck from Swiss Television, SRF. Yesterday, the United Nations General Assembly has given Switzerland the mandate to convene a conference of the parties to the Geneva Conventions with regard to the Middle East conflict. Does Israel intend to take part in this conference? Thank you for that question, Sebastian. I haven't got any information on that. Can you just scroll up for a second in terms of if I've missed any other questions? A question here from Joel Pollack at Breitbart News. It's regarding the hostages, and I've spoken about that. Okay, you've also asked, can you comment on Vice President Kamala Harris saying Tuesday that she's proud of withholding 2,000-pound bombs from Israel and would use such leverage again in the future? Thank you for that question, Joel. That's a question for Vice President Kamala Harris. We're currently in an election season, and it's the right thing to do to allow the American people to participate in that democracy. Israel's relationship, of course, with the US is a bipartisan relationship. We stand shoulder to shoulder, side by side, because we share so many values and, of course, so many of the same enemies as well. The relationship with the US is extremely important to us, and it's of mutual benefit as well. And the last question here I can see is from Jane Merrick at the newspaper. Jane Merrick, and you ask, following Prime Minister Netanyahu's comments that the British government are regarding UK being a friend and ally, has this message been conveyed directly to the Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary in the UK? Thank you for that question, Jane. Of course, the relationship between the UK and Israel is an extremely important one to both countries. We believe that it is based also on shared values, on the values of us being a democracy, of enjoying a free press, of being a free society. Indeed, we're the only democracy in hundreds of miles in any direction. Which is why Iran hates this country, which is why Iran has said that they wish to destroy this country. So Israel considers an ally any country that understands the unique situation of this country in this difficult neighborhood. We're standing up for freedom here, and we welcome the support of any allies that understand that fight, but also realize that it's not only our fight here in Israel. Iran are attacking us, they're seeking to destroy us, but we're only a stopgap on the way to other democracies as well. So we're on the front line of this battle, which is why we must be successful for the sake of civilization. Okay, that is the last question I can see here today. Sorry, I've got one more question here from the BBC regarding Lebanon, and I've given everything I have to say about Lebanon previously in my question, Daniel de Simone from the BBC. So our next briefing will be tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. In the meantime, please do stay safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next briefing tomorrow at the same time, 3:30 Jerusalem time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is Djobnik signing off.